Hello and welcome to another training video from easyLog. This one is about our easyLog timesheet management software and particularly focuses on the reporting functions you'll find within the module. So I've already logged in, then all you do is simply click on the reports function over on the left hand side here, and then you'll see this screen. So the first thing to do is to select the date range across which you want to run the report. So you can key in a date at the top here, or you can use the calendar option by clicking on the calendar button. And then from there either select a standard period from the period drop down, so 1 week to 5 weeks, a day and 2 days, or indeed then select your own end date here for the report that you want. Now the next three things are in the drop downs at the top here. So we have reports, criteria and format. Now, as they suggest, reports provide you with a list of the basic standard reports that you'll find in this function. The criteria option allows you then to choose, select, sort options, selection options within the report. So you can see here by employee, by client or location, etc. And the format allows you, again as it suggests, to format that report to add various factors in there, such as showing the costs of the hourly paid people, putting in unpaid breaks, so therefore removing an unpaid break from the time of the timesheet, or indeed rounding, so therefore you would be rounding the clocking, so for example 7:58 becomes 8 o'clock in the morning. So let's take a look through some of these reports. I say this isn't a particularly detailed video. You can really do no harm at all in terms of just by running reports. So it's you can run through these options as you wish and just play around in order to discover the reports that you want. So let's click on reports. So we have at the top the timesheet report, which is the one that most people want to run. So that therefore adds up the times between the leaving to the beginning time on each day, and then shows you that and reports on that. Attendance times is the basic raw clockings report. So it just shows you all the clockings in there and with more associated detail in it. Employee clock and picture is only valid if you're using the app that goes on a tablet, and also then what it will do is record the picture of the person as they record their clocking, and therefore this report allows you to see both the time of the attendance together with the image of the person that actually clocked and recorded that attendance. Now what you will also notice if I click on perhaps the roll call report is that the options at the top here change. So therefore the criteria report here only now allows you to select by client, because I've selected that roll call report. The roll call report, if I run it, it will be pretty blank, because this one is a dynamic report that shows you who's currently clocked in. This is demonstration data, so there's nobody clocked in at the moment. But let's now go back and to the timesheet report. And you then see that the format option reappears, and the criteria option has a lot more options on it as well. So and now let's run that report. So I'm happy to run it from the 25th of July for a week, and then it automatically puts in the to date, and then click on run report. And then you'll see the layout of the report, which again we take the same format as you've seen throughout the software. Anywhere we're displaying a report or a list, we give you this Excel spreadsheet type of approach. So therefore if you want to sort it in a different sequence, you just click on the column title in order to do that. Now let's take a look at one of the other things you can do in this report, because you see at the top here there are functions here now visible to add clockings and edit, delete clockings. If I scroll across to page 2, simply by clicking on the number 2 at the bottom there, I notice here that this guy Daniel, he clocked in, but he forgot to clock out. Now, obviously, that's not something you want to encourage, but this report does give you the ability to add a clocking in there if you know they were definitely at the time they clocked out. And obviously, as I said, you don't want to encourage this, but you want them to get to do this automatically. But let me show you then how to add a clocking into the system. So all we do is we tick on the box next to that particular clocking that we want to add an out clocking. And then we have an option at the top here, edit, delete clockings. If I click on that, it then comes up with a warning message. I say OK to go through into it, and it shows me the in clocking, but I don't have an out. So what I'll do is I'll put a clocking out, and let's say he left at 4:30, and save it. And now you see what's happened is because I've introduced a manual clocking, i.e. I've entered it myself, and there it is there. This has gone to red to indicate the fact it's a manually entered clocking, and it's now put in the clocking hours over here, so I haven't been able to complete that timesheet. So that's using the edit, delete, or indeed the add clockings function. Other report on here, attendance time you might well use. Again, allows you to do, if I click on that one, it allows you to do exactly the same. So you can add a clocking in here as well. You can edit an existing clocking by doing exactly the same, by ticking on the box and edit, or you can delete and remove a clocking as well. Again, it's not behavior that we particularly want to encourage, but of course if it helps in terms of producing timesheets, then that's a sensible thing to do. Right, so let's go back to the timesheet report. And let's explore in a bit more detail the formatting options that you have over here. So as you see, what we've currently got selected is highlighting green. So we were asking for the costings to come through into the timesheet. So now let's take a look at the rounding and the breaks option. So there's breaks, and let's look at rounding as well. So the breaks are basically rules you can define, and these will stay in place unless you change them. So this is saying, okay, if the shift has gone for 480 minutes, which is 8 hours, then remove 30 minutes from the overall timesheet, i.e. 30 minutes of unpaid time. And if the shift has gone to 11 hours, i.e. 660 minutes, then remove 60 minutes from the overall period of the day's timesheet, and therefore that will be automatically happen for you according to those rules. In terms of the rounding factors, and again these are displayed here. You can obviously change these, but these are typically the most common that people would use. So this is looking at the arrival and the leaving in terms of a 15-minute period, i.e. from o'clock to quarter past to half past to quarter to, etc. And therefore saying within the arrival, if they arrive within the first 5 minutes of that quarter an hour, then round it back. If they arrive after the first 5 minutes of the quarter an hour in which the clocking is positioned, then round it forward. So a clocking, for example, at 8:07 will be rounded forward to 8:15. A clocking that then turns in at 8:03 will be rounded back to 8 o'clock. Now, the original clocking times are not replaced by the roundings that the software will use. They are purely supplemented. So you'll see both the rounded clocking times and the original clocking times. And don't forget, across any report, if I run this report, that you have the facility to throw the report out into Excel as a CSV, as a PDF, or indeed print it. It's entirely up to you. So that's probably given you enough flavour to crack on and take a look at a few reports, play around with the settings within them, and come out with the data that you want. Okay, so I hope this has been of use, and thank you very much for your time.